So, Alanna Smith is one of the better players in the WNBA. Maybe one of the top 25 players in the league. And do you want to know why she is wearing a Fever jersey in this picture? Because yes, the Indiana Fever, in fact, had Alanna Smith on their team. And yes, we know in the pre-Caitlin Clark era, this was a kind of incompetent front office. A really, really, really incompetent front office. And they just cut Alanna Smith. And by the way, they cut Alanna Smith in the middle of a season where they won 5 games. They won 5 games. Yes, 5 games. They were 5-30, and they cut Alanna Smith. So they were 5-30, and they cut Alanna Smith. Not only that, they have they had Emily Engstler that year as well, and they cut her. And I thought Emily Engstler would be a perfect fit for the Indiana Fever. An absolutely perfect fit. The reason why Emily Engstler would be a perfect fit is purely because she is big, she plays defense, and she can shoot the three. However, Alanna Smith has been exceptional for the Minnesota Lynx. Her stats don't show the full story, albeit she does average over 3 stocks per game. She was the defensive player of the year last year alongside Angel Wilson. Has made, I think, 2 straight all defensive first teams. And not only that, and by the way, she had a bit of a weird year shooting. She is a really good 3-point shooter. She shot 40% the year before on 3 attempts per game. She shoots the shit out of ball for the Australian national team. She can shoot. She can really, really shoot the ball. And she is a 5 she's a defensive 5 and offensive 4. She was one of the most important players for the Lynx team. I was at the finals in 2024. When she was on the floor, the Lynx were great. When she was off, they were poor. She was more important to how the Lynx functioned than Fee Collier. When she was off the floor, they struggled more than when Fee was off the floor. That being said, let's take a listen to what Alanna Smith has said about free agency.
Any opportunity, I think, like I said, I think it's about best fit. And, I loved Minnesota, but a lot of teams are looking different this year, so I think I'd be doing a disservice to myself if I wasn't exploring other opportunities.
I loved Minnesota. I loved Big D. I loved Minnesota. That being said, that is a big one. That is a really, really big one. Saying, using the word I loved Minnesota, not I love Minnesota. At the same time, she's basically staged a press conference to say she's exploring free agency. What does that mean? She's gone, so. She's gone. How does she do this? I loved Minnesota, but she's definitely going to Indy. That's one of the things where I mean this when I say this. There is no more perfect person for the Indiana Fever to bring in than Alanna Smith. She fits way too well beside Leah Boston. And for people that are like Azare is the better offensive player. Not on the same stratosphere of defense as Alanna Smith. Not on the same stratosphere. I just got offered $1 million. The only thing is that when it comes to being offered the dollar reduce, my guess is that someone like the Wings could offer Alanna Smith huge money. I think a lot of people think the Indiana Fever is the main spot for Azare and Alanna Smith. And based on how teams fit, the likelihoods of the scenario is I wouldn't be surprised if, let's just say, the Fever takes one of them and the Wings take the other of Azare and Alanna Smith. And then when we also look at elite defensive centers who can stretch the floor a little bit, these modern centers, Ezi Magbegor is a free agent too. And a lot of people, there's a post there saying, look at this Toronto tempo. My guess with Alanna Smith is that Ezi Magbegor is probably who the Toronto Tempo are going to look for. More upside, younger player. But with Alanna Smith, the Indiana Fever, the one big problem with Alanna Smith is the free throw shooting. So if you look at her free throws, other than that 1 year she had in Minnesota where she actually hit her free throws, she has been a pretty poor free throw shooter in her career. Last year was her best defensive year of her career, by far her worst shooting year, and I'm going to take last year kind of as a blip. Jesus, she was shooting, to be fair, she was hardly playing before that. But I'm going to take last year's free throws maybe as a blip, but she's not the greatest free throw shooter in the world. She is a much better shooter than Natasha Howard. She is a much better defender than Natasha Howard. She is a much better system player than Natasha Howard. She spreads the floor more. She's she's not better on the perimeter. She's not a better finisher than Howard. She's not a better scorer than Howard. She's not a better rebounder than Howard. That's what you have Aaliyah Boston for. That is why you have Aaliyah Boston on your team. That is why you have her on your team. You have Aaliyah Boston on your team to do that stuff. You don't need Alanna Smith. Or, you don't need, Natasha Howard to operate from the same areas as Aaliyah Boston. You don't need Natasha Howard to be the Michael Jordan of Nalissa Smiths. You need somebody like an Alanna Smith. You don't need the best possible version of Nalissa Smith. You need Alanna Smith. And again, a lot of people talk about Azare. I don't know Azare, Ezzy, and Alanna Smith. I would be hoping the Fever go and get one of those. Why? Because they're all fives with the athleticism to play the 3-4. Or sorry, not 3-4, to play the 4 and spread the floor. You've then got a situation where Aaliyah Boston has gone from a slow bruising 5 to one of the fastest bigs in the league. The shape Aaliyah Boston's got herself in is absolutely incredible. And with that, you can obviously now play a mobile center beside Aaliyah Boston. You can play Aaliyah Boston to 4, but you can't play Aaliyah Boston to 4 with a bruising center. That just doesn't work. You have to have a mobile spreading floor spacing center. And that's where, again, that doesn't operate in the same area as Aaliyah. That's where Alanna, Azare, and Ezzy come in. That is where they come in. And I would be hoping that the, as far as Alanna Smith goes, even if you think that Azare is a better target, I think Azare, if we see Alanna Smith sign for the Wings, my guess is that Azare probably, the expansion team's already said no to Azare. My guess would be if we see, Alanna on the Wings, we're probably going to see Azare on the Fever. If we see Azare on the Wings, I reckon we see Alanna on the Fever. I reckon we do. My guess is that there's going to be a decent chunk of money, and that 750,000, 800,000 range is something that the Fever probably can afford to pay. It is probably something the Fever can afford to pay in on a 1-year deal. And I think she might end up going and taking that. So anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it. What do you guys think? Do you guys think the Fever should sign Alanna Smith or not? I've always had her kind of in my top free agents for the Indiana Fever. Did not think it was realistic. Thought, look, she's probably going back to the Lynx, but by the sounds of things, she's gone from the Lynx anyway. Whether it's to the Fever or not, we don't know, but it sounds like she's gone from the Lynx.